The way is in training. Miyamoto Musashi. Mr. Musashi, one of the great Japanese samurai warriors, undefeated in multiple competition, solo to the death matches. Again, we pay attention to what a man like that teaches, and the way is in training. Our way is absolutely in training. Each and every day, 10 to 15 minutes. Do all the practice trading that you can. Congratulations for jumping into our trade yesterday. For those of you who did the practice trade, did an inverse fund or even a put. What did we see happen? Well, we jumped in the afternoon and we actually hit our mark in the morning. That was beautiful. In and out very, very quickly. And again, we're just following the method. We can see where things crossed over on the STC in the afternoon. We talked about that last night, entered that trade, and boom, it worked quite well for us. We look at where things are on the 2-day chart. After many days of up movement, red spinning top, this latest 2-day candle, still green on the STC. Gives a little bit of, we're going to pay attention closely to this trade. Same with the weekly as far as some green candles go, but again, stalling out this week, STC remained negative. So, congratulations on that successful down trade. Now, and remember, SH was the underlying chart that we traded for our practice trade. To make that up, it is an inverse fund. The inverse fund, of course, for the Qs, I told you all this yesterday. PSQ, we've talked about this plenty of times. If you haven't taken our training, Inverse Funds, How to Make Money When Markets Crash, you need to take it. I'll plug it in at the end of today's program. Okay, so I'm just writing that down to make sure I do that for you. What do we see happen with the Qs? Of course, it crossed over earlier in the morning on Wednesday. We jumped into that trade, grabbed a bite of it down in the afternoon, and then slamming down. Isn't it amazing how well the 2-to-1 risk to reward ratios are? Why do they tend to work over and over again? Because we are doing what? We're using the average true range. What is the average true range? Well, it's the range that you see in movement over the prior 14 periods. That's what that 14 means right there. It gives us a number. We use that number to set our profit and loss bands. If you look over at that red number next to ATR on the left-hand side, bottom of the screen, you'll see ATR 15, RMA 571. If you look at the top over here, on the right-hand side of the screen, you see 571. That is exactly what we set as our loss parameter. It's 2.10%. We double that down at the bottom on the right-hand side, top of the screen. You see 4.20. We double that from 571 times 2 is 1142. That's the number of ticks we put in there. And boom, it sets it up for us so that we then know where to set our good till canceled sell order, which is what we did the minute upon entering the trade, knowing we wanted a 2-to-1 risk to reward ratio. We locked in that potential profit. Now you might say, Tom, do you lock in? Do you go ahead and set a stop? No, I don't. I did not. I would have been stopped out if I would have set it. I watched what went on. We let it ride. We talked about. We didn't close there. We did strike it at one point. We just watched the volatility and held on, stayed on the red on the STC the whole time and rode this baby down. So again, I would just urge you to practice trade this stuff. See if you can do it. Looks pretty simple. It does take a lot of practice, but it's worth it. We see where we are on the 2-day. Heading up on the STC, but a big red down candle there. Where are we on the weekly? Still negative on that weekly after 2 weeks of some up movement, really just 1 week of green spinning top prior. Last week, up movement, then died on the vine and rotated back below the 200 EMA, down 1.95% for the day. Quite beautiful. So again, the program, the plan, the wave technique, the always winning method, using the ATR, all those things we teach, just working beautifully. Where are we on bonds? Well, I keep waiting for bonds to rotate over on the STC going down. Really just seen a lot of sideways sliding. Popped up, but on bonds we are well below the 200 EMA on all three charts. The 195-minute or half-day chart, the 2-day, and the weekly. On the 2-day, negative on the STC. That's our big indicator at the bottom. Some green spinning tops here. One green up candle a few days ago, but sort of slowing down in that upward progression, hoping it's going to rotate over. Where we are right here with that dividend week, we just sort of see things stalling there. Well below, like I said, on all three charts, the 200 EMA. We are simply waiting for bonds to die again and for the STC to go from green to red. We'll pull the trigger on an inverse. Don't forget, inverse fund for bonds, TBF, Tango Bravo Foxtrot. That's a single inverse for bonds. Don't have an inverse fund for gold. But gold got really, really sticky. You got within 2 cents of considering to pull that trade with that green up candle. Now again, red candles are one thing, green candles are another. We also went from red to green. We talked about, hey, do we pull it? We're not at the bottom. We're not going from red to green at the bottom here. We're up at the top. Had a lot of things going on. Yes, you could have pulled it with that first green candle. You've taken a small loss. We went ahead and let it ride because of all that volatility in the market, because of so much that was out there pushing all of this down. Look at where we are on the 2-day, sliding sideways, some red candles there, went back to red today. Weekly, we're well below the 200 EMA, red candles for the last 4 weeks. So we had some things going for us, taking a little bit of chance there. Of course, we had that crazy afternoon on Wednesday. Then we saw things hammering down Thursday morning, pulling back a little bit for the day, just down 0.38%. Got awfully close to triggering our good till canceled sell order. Didn't quite happen. Now again, DGZ is a short fund for gold. The problem is it's very illiquid. So those of you who are Patreon members taking our 3-part series, Options Made Simple, the Charting Wealth Way, of course, hopefully you are practice trading options here. You may have already seen those hit your profit parameters and pulled those already. You may be still riding them. Do pay attention to where the market goes, of course, on Friday. Lastly, we'll go to the least exciting of all 5 charts that we look at, and that is Bitcoin for the day down 0.03%. So not much happening in Bitcoin, just sort of petering off the deep end. We did produce yesterday, actually on Tuesday, our charting cryptos and commodities. That'll be released to the general public tomorrow. Our Patreon members got it yesterday. So again, as we watch what's going on, still green on the STC, not a whole lot happening, particularly when you start looking at the big charts as far as Bitcoin goes. Not a whole lot. Got some up movement there on the 2-day. On the weekly, it did go from red to green, but not a whole lot happened. And we had 4 weeks up movement there in mid-July to the beginning of August, like we've talked about several times, and then things just sort of died. Are we going to take off and move up? Like to see that happen. We really would. We look at the 24-hour Bitcoin chart, and you can see on this weekly that we are still well below the 200 EMA, and we got a lot of building to do to get it from there. The good news is that maybe we've bottomed out somewhere around the $18,400, $500 mark. Maybe. When it comes to, of course, XBTF, our short-term future close month ETF, we're around that 1820 marks where we bottomed out. So hopefully we'll see Bitcoin gather some steam and take off. But as much as the markets are struggling, Bitcoin has not shown inverse activity to the markets. When they're going down, we don't see Bitcoin popping up. So if that changes, of course, we'll be here each and every day bringing that to you. Hope you're doing the practice trades, following the plan, learning. God bless, my friends. All the best from the whole team at Charting Wealth World Headquarters.